I'll speculate. I'm not speculating on a business. I could speculate.
Welcome back to the Practical Wealth Show. So my guest today, he isn't a theorist. He is an operator. So before the gig economy was a phrase, he was delivering McDonald's orders in 1991. And so before most people understood franchising, he was buying, fixing, and scaling brands. He's owned multiple franchises, helped develop national brands, worked on Wall Street at Morgan Stanley, and spent the last 25 plus years helping people avoid expensive mistakes in business ownership. He's also host of the most listened to podcast in franchising, Pursuit of Profit, and he's the author of the upcoming book, Beyond the Brand Today. And we are cutting through the hype about what actually makes sense and what makes franchises succeed or quietly fail, which we don't want to do, right? Cliff Nonnenmacher. Cliff, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, man, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Tell them what I didn't tell them, because you've been, what you find is that winners win, and they've started doing stuff really early. They just stumbling around in entrepreneurship. If you interview people, they started doing stuff like 8, 10, 12, 13 years old. So give them a little bit about, what got you started, what entrepreneurial bug bit you, and then how you expand on that.
You're right. Mine is 8. I was 8 years old. I grew up in Long Island. I used to rake golf balls out of ponds at country clubs and run through the woods and the grass and the tall grass and look for balls that were just lost, right? And then bring them home, clean them up. My mom had very strict instructions: never throw away an egg carton. I used the egg cartons to display the golf balls and sold them at the entrances of the country club. So it started very young for me. After school, at around dusk, I would go out there because the park rangers didn't want us there. They would chase us off the property, and we had to deal with that constantly. So yeah, that's what I would do. And this wasn't just a cute thing. We're talking about 1980. And I would do about $100 on a weekend. So that math today is probably nearly $300-400 for an 8-year-old. That's insanity.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah, it is major. I mean, we were raking a ton. As I got older, I got stronger, and as I got stronger, the width of my clam rake would get wider. So now I'm throwing a clam rake maybe 18 to 24 inches wide in the pond to rake out as many balls as I could. So again, when I started, I was young, right? So I had a little clam rake, and I was afraid to go in the water because there were muskrats and water rats, and I didn't know what was going on. But as I got older, the fear went away. But anyway, yeah, that evolved into, detailing cars, that evolved into snow removal, that evolved into all these different businesses, which I think my real true first profitable venture would be my food delivery business. I basically created an Uber Eats decades before Uber Eats, and you mentioned it at the introduction. We used cell phones, just came out at the time, like they were the size of a purse.
Little bricks. I had one of those.
Yes,
yeah, I remember that.
It was huge, and it was very expensive. Yes. So we really, I had it as insurance because communication was not easy if you were in a vehicle. So I used pagers, which were way more reliable, tried and true. And what I did is I would give each restaurant a code. Let's just say McDonald's was 011, right? If 011 showed up on my pager, they would then space list the number of minutes that they needed me. So it would be 011 15. It means come to McDonald's in 15 minutes. That was how we communicated.
Okay.
And this worked out very, very well. And I did hundreds of deliveries a day collectively, just for McDonald's alone. I think I did over 100 on a little island that was 3 miles by 6 miles. And then this evolved into different things. They're all stepping stones. Then I got involved in parasailing and jet ski rentals on the Jersey Shore. I had contracts with the Hilton Grand Vacation. And I would do their water sport concessions.
How old were you then? Nice.
Yeah, I skipped college. I was self-employed my whole life.
Right.
Other than, as you said, I worked for Solomon Smith Barney, ultimately Smith Barney. Now it's Morgan Stanley.
Yep.
But I was with them. I was with a group called Comprehensive Wealth Management. So we were a group within the firm. Loved it, learned an awful lot. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I needed to go back out on my own, and I did.
I love that. I used to be back in the day with Citigroup company, Primerica, but we did Smith Barney funds.
Absolutely.
And the person I learned the most from was I don't know if he was there then. He came over from Shearson, Joe Plumeri.
Oh yeah, I know that name.
Joe is the man, right?
Wow, you're going back now. That's
like
early 2000s.
And Steve Barger was the sales trainer.
Okay.
Like no one's sales trainer at the time of financial services. So I was about 27-ish, but I started to understand how to run a financial services business, cross-selling, because they brought us made us grow up in business, even though it was like a multi-level thing.
That's right.
Joe didn't play that. He was like, nah, you're a personal financial analyst, and that really spoke to me because I was looking to be that professional. So, it was so you bringing back memories, because I used to have Smith Barney guys come in and do like seminars for my clients. And I realized, hell, I can do this. Okay. So I stopped bringing them in. I was getting as big a conversion doing it myself, and I didn't have to try to coordinate my schedule with them. So anyway, that's not even, this is about you.
That's good. No, I love that. I did the same thing. I gathered assets through seminars, in-person seminars, country clubs, yacht clubs. Yeah.
Because what I found was teaching sales, right? And so educating. So you don't need to sell them if you show them how this benefits them and remove the risk, because a confused mind does nothing. So, I really never try to, what I try to do is Dan Sullivan says, people have a low, even with what our topic say on franchising, people have a low ceiling of complexity, right? Mm-hmm. And so when your ceiling's low, you hit your head against the wall and you're frustrated, right? Mm-hmm. And so what really both of us do, you around franchising and passive income, is we have to help raise their ceiling of complexity. And as their knowledge goes up, their anxiety comes down.
That's right.
Right? As their knowledge goes up, their risk comes down.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Let's kind of get into it. So I know Remedy took me down memory lane. And
good old days.
Back in my registered rep days. So let me ask you. So we're talking about franchising versus passive income, but where do smart investors misread franchising as passive, and what signals tell you someone is actually built to win, if that means anything?
Yeah, good question. Good questions. So the first one, I don't view franchising as passive at all.
Yeah.
So anyone who comes to me and says I'm looking for passive income, I have a very demanding full-time job or lifestyle, I just tell them, this is not for you. This is not passive. This could be semi-absentee, right? Where you're managing the manager, but you're still involved and you still have 15 to 20 hours of bandwidth that you've allocated towards the business to manage your manager, put KPIs in place, put cost controls in place. Like there's a lot that needs to be done, and not just anyone can keep a full-time career and use whatever bandwidth they have to manage their manager. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't even have management experience. It's like, I've never managed anyone in my life. People who are saying that's probably not going to work for them. So we're very careful how we advise the client. Words matter, as you know, right? Just like passive, semi-absentee, people need to understand the definition of those words and what we're really getting to. But yeah, it's even in our book, which is out. It's on Amazon right now. It actually was
say it.
Yeah, Beyond the Brand. It's actually, I don't know if you do streaming, but Beyond the Brand. It's actually over my shoulder too. Oh yeah, I've watched your episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
I know you stream.
We do both. Yeah.
Right. A lot of people they favor one medium over the other, right? Some people most of my downloads are streaming through Spotify and Apple, but totally. So yeah, in the book we get into all that stuff. What But I want to answer the second question because I think it's such a good question and no one really talks about it. And my industry would answer your second part this way. You need to be able to follow a proven system. That's what they would say.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, okay. So that's what makes a good operator. That's what, and I subscribe, and it's also in the book. I subscribe to a different methodology, which I got from Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE.
Yeah.
Jack Welch said the number one question people asked him is, how do you hire people? And I use the same answer to what makes a good franchisee, just with a little different spin. It's called the 4E1P principle. It's like, does the candidate have energy? Yes. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an energized candidate.
Okay.
Can that person energize others?
Mm.
Right? Just because you have energy doesn't mean people follow you.
Right.
Doesn't make you a leader. Doesn't mean you can energize your team and they're like, man, I want to take a bullet for that guy. Let's go out and hunt and kill and make some money for this company. Next is, can they execute? Execution is everything in business, right? It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. An imperfect plan executed today is better than the perfect plan implemented at some indefinite point in the future or never, right? So execution is everything in business. And then lastly is edge, which a lot of people lack today. They're afraid to offend everyone. Do you have edge? Can you have the coaching moment? Can you have a difficult conversation with someone? Can you terminate someone, right? Can you be edgy? And the final is P for passion. What do you believe in? What are you passionate about? Everybody likes to play it safe today. They want to straddle the line. It's like, you got to pick a position. Like in your role, you can't be in this role that you're in and just be able, look, I'm agnostic. You're not agnostic.
I'm definitely not agnostic.
Exactly.
Dan Kenny says if you haven't offended somebody by noon, you're not marketing hard enough.
There you go.
Right?
There you go. Bingo. The 4E1P principle has served me so well, and it allows me to be objective, yet have some type of criteria to say, you are not going to be a good franchisee, or you have everything it takes to be a rock star. Let's get to work. Let's show you some brands. Now let's drill down on your investment objectives. What do you want to invest?
Let me pull it out. See, because I will pull this back out, and that's a writer downer right there, right? Because if you have a business, you're a real estate broker, if you're a manager and you're recruiting and training a team, those things, like, they apply across the board as a criteria for hiring a real estate agent, hiring a broker, hiring a whatever, because they got it. It seems like they have to have that. Is that accurate? Especially the edge part. Because people are there, maybe this is just my kids, right? There's kids. They're the edge thing, because nobody wants to offend. Nobody wants to, they don't want to have collisions. Like in business, you're going to collide with people, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
It's friction. It's common.
and you're going to say no, and you have to be the leader. That's why they need to be a little more seasoned. You don't need to go to franchise coming out of college. You need to have some life experience. But I don't think they're worth anything till they're about 28, when they've been fired a couple of times, right? And it's like, okay, I've been beat up enough. Maybe I
battle scars. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's cool. So this is what I do. So you trigger me, and I go off and talk. But let's talk about this. So because you've seen owners succeed across vastly different brands. Mm-hmm. What, in your mind, operator behaviors matter more than the franchise itself?
Operator behaviors. I mean, the operator does need. I mean, in addition to the 4E1P principle, the operator needs to be able to execute a proven plan. Right. So the person can't have all of those attributes, come to the table and say, man, I've got everything it takes to be successful. Oh, and I can't wait to buy this franchise because there's so much I'm going to do and change. It's like, wait a minute.
Right.
We're not selling hot dogs at McDonald's. It's a license to print money. Leave it alone. Chick-fil-A is a license to print money. Don't tell me that you're going to stop saying it's my pleasure. Don't say you're not going to take orders in the drive-thru because it's raining out. Like, there's a license to print money there. Leave it alone and execute flawlessly. My message to people in franchising is, if you're going to change it, then don't join it, right? There is there is some flexibility within the framework. And I think that's an important distinction, that there is flexibility in the framework, but it's a matter of going to the franchisor and saying, do you mind if I try this marketing idea? Do you mind it? Like, you have to ask, you can't just go into the model and make those changes. But back to execution, what I have learned, just in full disclosure, how I started in franchising was basically buying failing franchises. So I'm looking at solid fundamentals, and I'm buying those businesses that I believe are being operated poorly, right? Operator error. Is it the fundamental of the business? No. We focused on gyms initially, where we wanted to buy failing gyms, turn them around and sell them for a nosebleed multiple, and keep doing that over and over and over again. Pay 25 to 50 grand for the gym, sell the gym for hundreds of thousands of dollars within a very tight time frame, a tight time frame being 1 year, not 2, right? It's a point of diminishing return. I don't want decay on my ROI. So, and time does nothing but decay the ROI. So looking at that, we were very successful doing that, my business partner and I, and we just kept doing it. But what was the point of that? What did we learn in that process? When we were handing someone 10 cents on the dollar for their business, we would ask them how they got into the business to begin with. And the answers were bizarre. They lacked discipline. They lacked structure. They were incoherent. It was like, what? I mean, they would say things like, well, we bought this business because, my neighbor's friend had one and they were doing really well. Tell me about your neighbor's friend. Oh, he's a pharmaceutical sales rep. And what do? I'm an engineer. I'm like, wait, so you're the introvert that is buying the extrovert, like, it doesn't even make sense. So you're an engineer. Do you like selling? Oh, I hate selling. My hands are sweating at the thought of selling. So matching and understanding where you belong, it'd be no different from you and I interviewing at jobs. And it's like, we just don't belong there. Like, right. It's not for us. It's not our place. We're not valued there. And we don't even feel like we could add value there.
That's why you say that I break out into a cold sweat, like a job. What?
Right. So, it's just like things like that. Yeah. So yeah, being a good operator is all about executing the proven system, executing flawlessly. And I like to add to that, leveraging collective intelligence in a group. Franchising is powerful because you get to leverage collective intelligence. I could pick up the phone right now and I could call multi-million dollar performers within any brand. Pick a brand, I'll go straight to the top, call that person, hopefully have the ability to say, I like to understand how you built a multi-million dollar business within this franchise system. Like, I interview people and it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing in revenue? And they'll say 15 million. The average revenue for their franchise is 750,000. How are you doing 15 million? You know what I mean? So it's like just drilling down on that. And most people do want to tell their story.
Yeah.
Hence the beauty of podcasting.
Yeah.
Most people do want to be heard. They do want to share their story. They do want to leverage collective intelligence. I consume podcasting as much as I'm on it.
Yeah.
Because I grow through it. Right.
I love that. That's a separate show. Buying underperforming business. My mind is racing. I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole, but I'm gonna stay on this because looking for that, how do you find it's like all kinds of stuff. Because see, to me, because a lot of people, I want to invest in real estate. To me, the fastest path to cash is business. That's why I like talking about this, because if you look at, like, I'm a big Kiyosaki fan. So he says the purpose of business is so you can get experience. What is it? The 3 E's: experience, education, excessive cash. If you're a good operator, you can get all 3 of those things, and then you take the profits and buy real estate to minimize your taxes. So that's kind of the order. But so that which brings me, I want to talk about capital a little bit. So most buyers obsess over brand and ignore capital structure. Mm-hmm. What funding mistakes quietly kill otherwise good franchise owners, in your opinion?
Yeah, so a lot of folks don't understand. There's a tax strategy called the ROBS. Are you familiar with the ROBS?
Yeah.
You are. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, when we're putting a deal together,
but tell them, because in fact, I do, but say
right on. Mm-hmm. So an ROBS, which stands for rollover as a business startup, it was named by the IRS. It's a silly name, but whatever. It's a tax strategy, believe it or not, that's been around since 1974. It falls under ERISA law, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of the 70s. And what it says is that you and I and your audience, we reserve the right to self-direct our retirement funds.
Right.
Now, naturally, you can't do that when you're employed because the employer is telling you this is our plan and you're in it as long as you're working here. But if you quit and you roll that money into an IRA, you now reserve the right to self-direct those funds. You could buy real estate, which we're all told you can't, because the big wirehouses, the Merrill Lynch's, right, the Dean Waiters, all of them, they all told people your money comes to
They
us.
can't. That don't
That's
mean you
right.
can't. Right. They can't.
That's right.
They
That's
can't figure out how
right.
to make money on it, so it's not on their book, right?
That's
Because
exactly
it's
why they say
it's an
no.
alternative asset class.
Exactly.
So
You can do it through, you can do self-directed real estate investing. You can buy an Airbnb, and you could also purchase through an ROBS. You can purchase a business. Now, why does it matter? A retirement account is tax deferred. Everyone views it as illiquid until they retire. We're creating liquidity in the most illiquid asset they have, which is their retirement plan, especially for young people that want to buy a business. And young, I mean under 65, right? It's like, that's what I mean by, it's like you're in that window where it's like, I could buy a business at 50.
Thanks for
I could buy a
calling me
business
young.
at 60. Yeah, even 65. It's like,
Yeah.
I have clients that buy businesses at 65 because they want to create an income stream, an annuity, if you will, in retirement.
Yep.
Totally. It's very common. So the ROBS does this. This is where the audience, should dial into this. Number one, it's a tax deferred account. So you are taking dollar for dollar distribution to buy your business. Everyone listening is saying timeout, early withdrawal penalty, state tax, federal income tax. Wrong. You pay zero taxes. Zero early withdrawal. I don't care how old you are. Zero. Zero state, depending on what state you're in. If you have it, you pay zero. And zero federal. It is a dollar for dollar distribution towards the purchase of a franchise. You still maintain tax deferred status. If you pay $100,000 for a franchise and you sell it for $200,000 in X number of years in the future, you will put that $200,000 back in your IRA rollover tax deferred. I mean, to me, it's one of the greatest tax strategies. The reason I like it, and a lot of people struggle with this math, when I ask someone how much they have in their IRA and they say $100,000, and I go, how much do you have in your checking account? And they say $100,000. Okay. What are you going to use to buy the business? My checking account. That checking account is $100,000 in after-tax dollars.
Right.
After-tax dollars. That $100,000 sitting in your IRA is pre-tax. Minimum 30 cents on the dollar doesn't even belong to you. In every IRA, every 401k across America, you are holding the federal government's money.
Right.
It's there. 30 cents on the dollar belongs to them. If you don't believe me, just take a dollar out and you'll end up with less than 70 cents.
For sure.
Exactly. And if you're in California, New York, or any high state income tax, you're going to end up with less than 70 cents. So I like using the Fed's money and the state's money to speculate in a business by using retirement assets to buy it. And this is what people don't think through. And they don't think through SBA, exit strategy. They just don't think those parts through. And that's our job, to help them navigate best way to buy the business, the most tax efficient way to buy the business, and then focus on, which I think was part of your question. We're not buying logos. We're buying unit economics.
Right.
We're buying earnings claims. We're buying item 19 earnings claims, or we're buying a business that has a solid, financial fundamentals to achieve our investment objectives. And every client working with us, we know what are you willing to invest? What's your appetite for debt? What is your appetite for risk, right? That risk proclivity. You know all about that being in your business. Exactly. What do you need to earn? Where do you want to operate? What are the demographics of the area that you want to operate in? Is it sustainable to this brand? And then we layer on the brands after that, once we have clarity, granular clarity on the investment objectives.
Then you pick the
and then we choose. We start out presenting a minimum of 5. We'll present it because I don't expect a client to like every single brand. We want them to like at least 3, so they could begin the 3-month due diligence process of identifying fit. They're going to kill a brand. We're going to reintroduce a brand, right? They're going to fall out of love with the brand. they're going to fall in love with the brand. Like it just it ebbs and flows through the 3-month period of time. What was ranked on the bottom all of a sudden becomes the darling. It's like, man, you didn't even like that brand. You almost didn't even look at it. And they're like, I love it. I'm really glad that I was open-minded and objective because I almost didn't look at that brand and is now my favorite investment opportunity.
I see you go back to, you got to look at it as I'm investing. This is going to be part of my portfolio. I'm buying an asset. I want to go back to the Rob for a second because this is a question I have. So one of my clients is a laundromat owner. He bought his laundromat with a Rob.
Okay.
And how do you pay? Like, what has to go back into the Rob out of the earnings? And then how do you live off of? How do you pay yourself a salary? How does that work?
Great question.
In a nutshell, I guess that's my thought.
So just to kind of level set a little bit, I'll just give you some bullet points. One, it needs to be a C Corp. It can't be an S Corp. So you have to create a C Corp to execute the ROBs, and then you fund it with the retirement plan.
Okay.
Then the company, the C Corp, will create a retirement plan, usually available to the owner only.
Okay.
Right? Because we don't want to commingle our retirement assets with our employees.
Right.
So there's like an enrollment window, which is a day. There's no employees. You look around and you close the window, and that's the end of it. So it's kind of like a tax strategy on how they legally, legally put the C Corp and the retirement plan together. Yep. Now, I want to use the example of someone that's 40, because when I say 40, no one listening, including you, is going to say 59 and a half because it's 40.
Right.
Right. Right. And you know where I'm going with 59 and a half. Right. You're not subject to early withdrawal penalties. So we have a 40-year-old that takes a couple $100,000 out to buy a business. Dollar for dollar, zero taxes. Because they did a ROBS, this 40-year-old can take a salary from the retirement plan, avoid early withdrawal penalty, still pay income tax. Okay. So I'm taking a distribution from my IRA. I bought a business and I put myself on payroll day one. Small base salary. Maybe it's only $500 a week. Nonetheless, it's $500 a week coming from a retirement plan. We're avoiding the early withdrawal penalty. Right. Yes, we're paying state or federal, depending on where we live.
No, you're going to pay taxes,
Yes.
So
on the distribution,
right?
That's right. And that also reinforces the distribution concept that 30 cents on the dollar doesn't belong to you in your IRA as we sit here today. Now, is there a repayment period? Is it a loan? No. It's no different than any investment you've ever made. You're investing in you the same way you invested in an ETF or a mutual fund. No different. There's no repayment period to put that money back. Now, fast forward, we're profitable. We're making $100,000 a year. How are we treating the $100,000 of income generated from a tax-deferred retirement plan?
Yeah.
The answer is simple. You're paying taxes on it. The income generated from the business is taxable income. The income or profit generated from the sale of the business is tax deferred.
Goes back into
That's right.
Okay. So
that's right.
As a C Corp, then you can control it. You can take it out through salary, dividends, or you keep it as retained earnings. I'm nerding out on this stuff, but
you can nerd out.
Yeah. But that's because Kiyosaki and Laura Loomer says you got to learn to live a corporate life. Right. And we don't go on vacations. We go on retreats or annual retreats,
That's right.
And so you got to learn to live a corporate life. So that's a whole other thing, but that is awesome. See, so y'all gotta, hopefully we're expanding because most people upper middle, mass affluent, most of their capital is in their qualified plan. So, you know what I mean? So that's where the money is. They don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in non-qualified money just sitting in taxable accounts. A lot of it's there. So it's either that or financing, SBA loans. But, that's what I call good debt, because you're using debt to buy an asset. So that's not a no-no as long as you do your due diligence and the money will generate enough, the revenue would be enough to service the debt.
That's right.
So, okay, that's how you gotta. I look at everything. Look, when you go to student loans, they should look at the student loans like that. All right, am I majoring something that'll allow me to make enough money to pay this damn debt back?
No.
They
Right.
do
The
not look
answer
at it
is
like
no.
that. So let's talk about. Everyone is pitching Amazon proof and AI resistant.
Mm-hmm.
What actually holds up in the real world, or is that just like a sales deck buzzword?
Right. Yeah. No. Well, AI is definitely a buzzword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is AI. I get it. I mean, you and I are both getting the same bombardment of material.
Right.
Franchising is. I'm not going to say it's high tech. It's actually it could be high tech, but it's very high touch. It's very high touch. So it's franchising is tried and true. It's going to be local. It's going to be feet on the street. It's going to be something that you can't really get through Amazon. And that's why people come to him like, do you have any app based, franchise? Like that's not what franchising is.
Right.
Like an app like Uber doesn't need franchising to distribute that methodology. Like they don't need it. Right. Lyft doesn't need franchising as a methodology to expand their distribution channel across the globe. It's an app. It's technology based. Just run a bunch of ads, get a bunch of VC money, throw a ton of money at it, and get people to download the app. Like, so you really don't need franchising for that. But your local barbershop, your local nail salon, your local, eatery, your local everything. It's all, look at HVAC. How are you getting your HVAC repaired? How are you getting any plumbing work done? The spring on your garage door just broke. What about landscaping, hardscaping, pressure washing, roofing, and painting? All home services are very powerful. So,
and those are their franchises in
oh
those.
yeah, oh yeah. I represent 600 brands across approximately 70 different industries. So
Wow.
there's a ton of opportunity. There's over 4,000 brands in the United States. Many of them, in my opinion, are not worth buying, right? Because I'm not really a heavy food guy, and I'm not getting involved in businesses with razor thin margins. That's a conversation for another day. We all have different, we all have different criteria for being a disciplined investor. I'm not investing in anything that's netting 10%. I have no interest in that.
Right, because I think about, I know we were talking about non-food. I'm glad you said that because, with not so much AI, but the labor cost of like the franchises, all these politicians feel people should make $20 an hour because they have to earn a living wage. But somebody's got to pay that, and if the margins aren't there, either as the owner, I'm taking it, or I'm going to get a kiosk and you're not going to have a job anyway. Right. And so a lot of people don't understand the consequences of policy. And I want to insulate
100%.
myself from that. So the
100%.
business you name, high margin, if you got skills, you don't worry about minimum wage because you got a lot of skill.
Maybe this helps the audience. What I look for personally is it recession resilient?
Yep.
Is it asymmetrical? What does that mean? Is it low investment, high margin, high net, and very few employees, right? Is it cash paid on demand of service, or am I chasing down ARs? Do I have a ton of inventory, or am I limited to no inventory? I want limited to no inventory. Can I scale it? Everybody tells me that business is scalable. A $700,000 business is not scalable. You need 700 grand every time you want to scale. Like that's not scalable. Now, scaling a mobile dog grooming business, all I need is a tech and I need a vehicle, which I could lease, and off I go. I could scale the hell out of that. I've owned 12 brands. I had a water, fire, mold, and biohazard business. You want to scale it? Get a tech, lease a van. Do it over and over and over again. Just keep your lead machine going, keep your referrals going, keep the feeders going, and you could just scale it. And that's exactly what we did. Created a multi-million-dollar restoration business right there in Annapolis, Maryland. Kept doing it. So I like scalable, highly scalable businesses. I don't like shiny new pennies. I don't invest in things that are born during the best of times. So if it's born during the best of times, I'm out because it has proven nothing. Has the business weathered the housing crisis? No. Has the business weathered COVID? Not yet. Okay. Has the business done this? No. Then I'm out of that industry. I'm just too disciplined to mess around with things that just don't have a history of success. Look, I'll speculate. I'm not speculating on a business. I could speculate through crypto, through art, through
Right.
all. I could do speculation and really laser focus on the percentage of speculation of my portfolio. I don't need to speculate with a $500,000 brick and mortar brand. That's
Right.
a significant investment. Now I have a landlord. I got personal guarantee risk. People need to really get disciplined, and that's what we bring to the table: discipline. So
I
as I
love
said,
that. Like I try to get them ready to get ready for you, right?
right.
Where I got them managing cash flow, they're protected, they have liquidity, use control of their capital, so they see something they like, they could do it, right? And I teach them to be financially literate because financial literacy is accounting, right? What are your assets? What's your P&L? And so now we call them cash flow engines now because what we want to do is get them ready and focus on buying or building cash flow engines, which are whatever you like. Like it's 4 asset classes, right? Business, real estate, paper. Paper mean notes, tax liens, private lending, not just like stocks, bonds, annuities. And so we've got clients that do all that syndications, so it just depends on what you like. But I love that the word's not skeptical, but I love that you said that, like, I don't trust anybody that haven't lived through stuff. Like I've talked to people that think they're invincible, and I've interviewed guys that literally during 2008 lost $5 million, right? Went to nothing and then dug themselves back out of that. And then within 24 months, they're back on top of the horse. That's who I want to talk to.
I'm with you. My
Yeah.
favorite line is, "Don't take advice from people that aren't where you want to be."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just focus there. And again, be disciplined, be unreasonably selective. I want to go back to your comment about minimum wage because I don't like a lot of businesses because of what you just said.
Yeah.
Certain states have minimum wage risks. I live in Florida, but I work the nation. So I'm working California, Washington, Oregon, New York, Illinois, right? All the areas where they have crazy minimum wage laws and sunset provisions that just keep increasing these numbers over year after year after year. All this has done, and I agree with your comment about politicians and them being hell-bent on doing this. All this has done is shown an industry that we need to eliminate them. They've accomplished nothing. So all the virtue signaling by companies saying, we agree, you look at Starbucks, you look at Amazon, and they run their mouth that they really care about their employees. They are replacing employees as fast as they possibly can with robotics. That's all, like as fast as they can. Their warehouses now, they have skids running around, robotics climbing up walls, grabbing products off of shelves. And I don't need to tell you what just happened with Washington Post and Amazon and layoffs and all this stuff, right? Which it's so I will re-enter a lot of the businesses that I don't like today because I am highly confident that Optimus and humanoids and robotics and AI are going to replace probably all of us, including me. It's just a matter of time. When you have someone like Elon last week or two say it would be pointless to go to medical school today, pointless was his statement.
Wow.
Because that he said it on stage out loud. Anyone listening can find that clip. He said 2 things on that stage that really, really resonated with me. Number one, if you went to medical school today, you're only doing it to be smarter than your friends and just to know about health. Like you're really only doing it because it's pointless to go to medical school today if you actually think you will become a physician. And why is that? Because his Optimus humanoids will be smarter than the smartest doctor on the planet within under 5 years from today, meaning you haven't graduated medical school yet. And his Optimus humanoids will be better than the best surgeon on the planet in under 5 years. Like,
wow.
Unpack that. That's incredible, Curtis.
That is, yeah. I mean, and so people don't think, they don't like project out and so when they come out of school, you're really being prepared for a world that doesn't exist. School is still focused on industrial age, factory work and whatever. And even college doesn't, I'll hear Daniel Priestley says, listen, we're preparing for kids for a world that will be obsolete by the time they get out of school. One of the things that I try to get our clients to think is to think from a macroeconomic standpoint, and I had a mentor tell me, if you know what's going on, you'll know what to do. And so, but you have to think, and project. Like, so if you understand like basic economics, you can look at, they do this policy, here's the result of that, and how do I either prepare myself like to withstand it or profit from it, because I understand where as Graham Gershko would say, I know where the puck is going. I'm skating to where the puck is going, not to where it is.
That's right.
And I don't think that people think that way. They're just kind of caught up in a trance in their daily
Well, they're
life.
in denial. They're in denial. They think it's not going to happen to them. And the reality is, if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you're anything right now, you're in the process of being replaced. Most technologies have replaced blue collar workers. They've taken the slug in the gut and the punch to the chin. They've taken the beating over the last century. Anything blue collar work, we just keep replacing them and hurting them in the middle class. Now, AI, quantum computing, humanoids, it's got its sights squarely on white collar jobs, the most intelligent jobs on the planet. I don't care who you are in accounting, you are not smarter than the accounting software that I now have in open AI or Grok. You're not. I'm sorry.
Right. And it could do what takes hours in seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
Thank you. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about failure patterns. So when a franchise, I got two more questions. 'Cause I can talk to you all day. When a franchise fails, what's usually broken first? Leadership, cash flow, or expectations?
Man. That's it. I don't know that. All right, if you don't mind, I'm not going to select like from your list. Like, let me
You
share with you.
Want to say? I just
let me share with you what I know about failure. My number one reason why people are failing, and I bought failure, so I've witnessed failure my whole career. I've been doing this over 25 years now. Number one is they're not following the system. I'm just telling you, man, it's unbelievable. And they want to blame the brand. It's like, look, the brand, there's 300 locations for the brand that you say sucks, right? Okay. There's that one guy failing who's telling everyone at the cocktail party the franchise sucks. There's 300 locations. You're the one failing.
Right.
And it has a lot to do with mindset, has a lot to do with attitude. It has a lot to just do with, energy, has a lot to do with a lot of things,
right?
Which is another podcast, right?
Right, exactly.
But mindset will largely determine your outcome in any area of your life. Your mindset is going to determine that. Next is the runway, the operating capital runway.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people get involved in deals, business, hobbies that they really can't afford. We're a nation wanting to keep up with other people.
Right,
like it's just what we do. And I understand why people want to buy a business, but you cannot be marginally capitalized. And they run out of runway because this is what happens. The brand said it's 350. Okay, it's 350 grand to buy your franchise. We have 350. Right? We have 350. I have 100 grand cash. The SBA gave me 250. We have 350. They're not calculating burn rate. They're not calculating the ramp to break even, which could be over a year of hemorrhaging. And it's like you ran out of runway.
Right.
Right. It's that those are.
And they don't teach that. Like my dad told me, I've heard two things from the time I was like 8 or 9. Boy, you'll never make your money, work for somebody else. So I never got that go get a good job talk. But the other thing, I swear I was about 10. And we were going by these little corner stores that were friends of his, because we had a little supermarket, right? And I said, Dad, why are these? Because we would drive by them, we helped them do something. It seemed like the next month they were shut down. I was like, Dad, well, what happened? Why these businesses keep opening and closing? He says, because most people just have enough to open the door, right? He used to say, listen, you need to be able to operate at a loss for like 2-3 years. Like even though you're handling money, you're not really making money, and they don't have enough because you got to rebuy your stock. And I didn't completely understand all of this at 10, but that stuck with me. That still stays with me. Anytime I started something in my mind, it's a 1 year to 3 year deal. Like people have this, they want this microwave success.
That's right. It's right. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
That is the truth. Yeah, and then people lack just investment discipline that we already discussed, right? So there's multiple reasons for failure. I will tell you that the brand is rarely the reason for the failure.
Okay.
Rarely.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, when I look at failure and I look at the deals that I've bought and I look at the seller, it's like, man, you are absolutely unequivocally the problem. It's not the brand. And it's like, well, and if I was wrong, Curtis, if I was wrong in that assessment, then how did I buy your business for 10 cents in the dollar and sell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars
Right.
within 12 months by
Right.
just following the model? And that's how we prove that most failure is really owner operator error.
Mm.
Whether it's attitude or undercapitalization. I will tell you this, and it's also in our book, lease negotiation, commercial site selection. It's an art and a science. If you get involved in brick and mortar businesses that require physical retail locations and they are dependent upon foot traffic and car count traffic, you got to be very, very careful where you choose that. And I will tell you this, people rush it. They rush to open the store. They just settle for a Class B location. They didn't negotiate the lease properly, and you're never fixing that. You will never fix that. And that is why, this is an actual statistic, that is why 85%, this is actually a mind-blowing stat, 85% of businesses for sale on bizbuysell.com will never find a buyer.
Wow.
85. Right. And it's like, why is that? You have nothing to sell, or your location sucks. Your lease term sucks. Like, there's just nothing there. It's an asset sale. I don't even want your assets. They're not worth anything. You're asking 200. I'll give you like 30.
Wow.
That is a crazy statistic.
If I own a business, that's an eye-opening statistic, because everybody thinks they're going to have this big exit.
Everyone thinks everybody. Where did I get that from? I interviewed Jessica Falkovich. She's the co-founder of Exit Factor. And that's what they do. They work with small business owners for years to teach them, how do you prepare your books? How do you prepare your organization for the exit so that you're not a statistic like an 85% never going to find a buyer and just shutter it. Your life's work shuttered.
I love that. All right. Final question. I want you to tell them where to find you. Okay. If someone came to you because I want to know who shouldn't be doing this, right? So if someone came to you tomorrow, who should you talk out of franchising immediately? You gave pieces of it throughout the thing, but
yeah. Do you relate to the 4E 1P? If the person's shaking their head, that's me, man. I'm that guy. Okay, great. Then you check that box. Do you have 100 liquid that you're willing to invest, and do you have an appetite for some debt? The debt would be probably 100, 150, right? Total debt. That would be a non-brick and mortar starter business that I could put someone in. So if it's like, look, I have the right attitude, I have the mindset, I have a desire to want to be more successful. I want to get out of corporate America. I want another income stream. I want to retire uncompromised. I want to give a legacy, something to my children or grandchildren, right? Whatever your reasons are, if you're relating to this conversation, then you're a candidate to work with us. Are you coachable, right? Or are you the smartest person in the room? There's no telling you anything. That type of individual.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, if you check those boxes and it's, then call us. Listen, our services are free. Okay. So what we're not going to do is work with someone that we know is not a fit, because I'm investing my time, which is insanely valuable to me.
Yep.
And I'm not just going to give my time to someone that I know is not going to get approved. And I want people listening to understand this. You cannot buy a franchise. It will be awarded to qualified candidates. I get phone calls every week by brands that say, this person's not a fit. Let me tell you why. What's crazy about that phone call, and this phone call is not weekly, but I will lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to people visiting franchises and drinking too much. And that's it. The brand is like, we're not doing this. Just
they drink to go to the.
Yeah, well, they go there and it's like they view it like a cocktail party and they end up overdoing it. We literally have an explainer video that says you are on a 1 drink maximum. When we have to actually tell grown adults you're on a 1 drink maximum when you visit the franchisor, because we literally lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to alcohol and misbehaving when they meet these brands. Brands are looking for cultural fit. The same way the investor is looking for fit. and evaluating the brand. We call it the MEP. It's a mutual evaluation process. You're looking at us, we're looking at you. It creates balance. And that's why franchises are awarded, not sold.
Wow. I want to end there because that I had another thing, but that was they're awarded, guys. You have to qualify. I'm gonna steal that for work in my business some kind of way. So let's tell them as we close. What do you want them to do?
Visit my website.
Well, let me ask you: if someone listens to this, what's the one thing differently before buying a franchise, and what should it be? And then tell them how the book, where to find you, what's your podcast. I want them to,
I appreciate that.
I want to reach out.
So if you wanted to reach out to me, just visit phrenicity.com, FRANOCITY.com. And then in there, you could schedule a call. You could get access to me.
Okay.
Next would be my book. I would love for them to buy the book because the book is not fluff. It is a legit bestseller. It ranked like number 8 in entrepreneur franchising category, that's a big category. And we were ranked 8. So the book is full of value to any prospective investor. You don't have to be a franchisee. You just be a business owner. There's a lot in there about negotiating commercial leases and protecting your personal guarantee, clawback provisions, how to hire people, how to incentivize your manager. I mean, the book is loaded. People would be shocked. It's like, man, he didn't even want to sell this. It's just a book. Don't you want me to call you? There's a lot in there that you don't need me, if you will.
Right.
And then my podcast, which I think is great. And it's a compliment to you. Like, people should be tuning in, regularly to your show. My show is uniquely different and very niche. I only interview founders of franchisors. So founders. I only interview founders of franchise concepts. I do interview the C-suite, but it's mainly the founders of these brands. So that's what we do on the Pursuit of Profit. Like we're on every streaming service. The audience has done phenomenal. We've grown it exponentially. YouTube channel is growing beautifully. So we love it, right? So you have phrenicity.com, you have Pursuit of Profit as the podcast, and you have Beyond the Brand as a book. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, my man, this was awesome. I probably could pull, I think, another 30 minutes of questions, but I'm gonna.
Well, I'll come back. We'll come back one day. Yeah, and we'll flip the script.
Yes, yeah, and so listen, guys, I want you to go get the book. If you have an interest in that, you can hear the founders of ones. You can get to know maybe the brands. The book will tell you everything you want to know, but we're afraid to ask. We always tell people, Cliff, that that you want to invest, so that you want to invest in what you know or invest in knowing, right? And so we have 3 rules of investing: invest in what you know or invest in knowing, which is 1 and 1A. Invest in what you can control or influence the outcome of a business, something that does it cash flow, right? And then our third is don't chase returns, right? And so everything that you talked about meets the first 2 criteria of our 3 rules of investing. It's really all 3, because you're definitely not chasing returns, right? So you're very structured in how you look at it, and they are going in with eyes wide open. And I appreciate all you do out there.
Thank you, man.
My
you
brother.
Too. You too. Listen, this is the time commitment. I know what you're doing, and I commend you. It's a lot of work, and you're adding value to the world doing it. So I have a ton of respect for podcasters and everyone doing this every day.
Yeah, right back at you, because this is not my day job. I work with clients.
I'm with you.
So
I was in your green room. I know.
Yeah, exactly. I got somebody about to pop on in 1 minute now. So listen, y'all go out there. Y'all make it a great day. Cliff, we thank you. Go listen, like, and share. So you've run into somebody that's needs to hear this. Send this interview to them. Hey, I appreciated the clarity and the straight talk from Cliff. And if this episode made you rethink business ownership, make sure you subscribe and share it with someone considering a franchise. Cliff's book, Beyond the Profit, Beyond the Brand, is out now on Amazon. And his podcast, Pursuit of Profit, is required listening if you're serious about owning and not just buying a business. Okay. And so if you are thinking about, I need to get ready. So this is great, but am I ready to do this? Are my finances together? Then here's what my offer is to you. Go and onto our website. It'll be in the show notes, practicalwealth.net, and schedule a 20-minute clarity call or take our assessment, which is on the first page, and let's talk, and let's just see where you are. We kind of, as we said on the show, we help people get ready to get ready. Okay, so maybe that's you, and you need to organize your finances before you can talk to Cliff. So give us a ring, but that is definitely an outlet to create assets that send you a check, not just hoping the stock market goes up. Have a great day, everybody.